you want to be like Candace Parker, if you want to be like Nneka Ogwumike, if you want to be like Caitlin Clark, if you want to be like Sue Bird, we don't want little girls thinking it's actually bad to be one of those women.
Absolutely.
Because this is how you're going to be treated, good or bad, right? You want it to really be about the basketball. We're supposed to be appreciating the greatness of her ability to play the game at a really high level. We can still have these conversations, but ultimately figuring out a way to make sure that the W is moving in a positive direction and growing, fan, coach, media representative, that has to be the ultimate goal. Otherwise, anything you're doing or saying that could be hurting the game and having people want to pay attention to the W less, that's a problem.
5 flagrant fouls. That's how many times Caitlin Clark has been knocked to the floor this season. And here's the number the WNBA is praying you never do the math on. That's 17% of every flagrant foul in the entire league. One player, one target. For months, players stayed quiet. Coaches looked away. Reporters called it part of the game. Then a 5-time NBA champion stepped up to a microphone and refused to play along.
Wow. So it looks like the NBA champion that played with Kobe Bryant of Los Angeles Lakers, big time shots made, big time clutch shots all throughout his career. Derek Fisher has stepped up and addressed a lot of the nasty hate and some racism that it appears Caitlin Clark has been facing since she stepped into this league. The pure hate, the jealousy, all of it. He did not hesitate.
Derek Fisher didn't call it hazing. He didn't call it toughness. He pointed at something a lot of people were too scared to name, and once you hear it, you can't take it back.
The sacrifices that they knew were going to be made in order for the league to take the step forward that it needed to take to get to where they are now. I think sometimes young athletes, young people can come across as though they aren't as appreciative or grateful for those that have kind of paved the way before them. And so when you come in and not just the way you carry yourself in terms of feeling like, hey, I'm the new king now. That's how like Ant Edwards brings that energy.
Big time. And I love it, by the way.
The dream team in 92 in Barcelona, Michael Jordan was on the rise, but Magic Johnson was still kind of, trying to remind him, nah, bro, this has been my league for a while. Like, I'm not just going to hand over the baton. You're going to have to take it from me. And so some of that energy, like, I think Caitlin Clark plays the game in a way and carries herself in a way as though, like, she knows that she is the future of basketball. She doesn't necessarily say that, but she plays that way and has that type of energy. And so, yeah, I think it's been extreme on both sides of the like-dislike conversation.
Start with the part nobody can spin, the tape. Clark hasn't been bumped. She's been hammered. 5 flagrant fouls, and 4 of them from a single team, the Chicago Sky. Out of every dangerous over-the-line hit in the whole league, almost 1 in 5 has Caitlin Clark's name on it. One night, she shot 13 free throws and still got mugged on plays the refs flat out missed.
It looks like Derek Fisher went on 97.1 The Fan, and he addressed a lot of these things that Caitlin Clark has been facing and how nasty it's been, man. Let's be clear, man. This stuff has been nasty work. We've been watching it from day one. We've been watching her be targeted. We got all these Carrie champions and all these people going out spewing these lies, talking about she's getting special treatment. No, that's Asia Wilson, who shoots 89 free throws a game. That's Paige Beckers, who you can't breathe next to without getting a foul. That's Breanna Stewart, who shoots 18 free throws and still goes in press conferences and blasts the refs. Not Caitlin Clark. She don't get the type of treatment those people get. We got to keep it real here.
Fans saw it. They posted the slow motion clips. They begged the league to protect her. And the league? Mostly silence. A shrug. A quote about how she needs to adjust. But here's where this stops being a story about fouls and starts being a story about everyone who let it slide. Because it wasn't just rival teams, it was her own sideline. Saturday night, national TV, the Fever getting blown out by the Portland Fire. And the cameras caught the moment that lit the internet on fire. Head coach Stephanie White, finger pointed straight in Clark's face, slapping her own knee, tearing into her franchise player in front of millions. At first, Clark just looked away and drank her water. Then she snapped back, hands up, talking right over her coach. Seconds later, she was benched, pulled for a rookie, sat down for the whole country to see. And the timing could not have been worse. This was already the coldest stretch of Clark's career. 11 points a game, 29% shooting over 3 games. The doubters who'd been waiting for a crack smelled blood. They killed Caitlin Clark. One viral post read, "Barely recognizable." Add it all up. The targeting, the benching, the slump, the silence. And it looked like the whole basketball world had quietly agreed to let the most popular player in the sport sink. And that's what makes the silence so strange. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just another name on a roster, she's the reason arenas that used to sit half empty are suddenly sold out. She's the reason half these games are on national TV at all. She's the engine, the golden goose.
Let's take a look at what Derek Fisher had to say.
We don't live in that world.
Their experience has been like to see someone else treated differently than they feel that they have been treated. That's also mixed into even some of the WNBA players as Caitlin Clark was coming into the league. Like, hey.
And this is talking about, speaking of to the jealousy, okay? They saw her coming in, selling out arenas, getting on national TV, all of this stuff. Remember when everybody wasn't flying private yet. And Caitlin Clark had to because she's so much more popular than all these other people. They said, oh, no, it was a big problem. But then she eventually got them all put on PJs, and they still was hating. They still were jealous. They were jealous that she was the reason for a lot of it. Keep cooking, Derek.
Hey, well, we've been a part of this league. Like was coming into the league. Like, hey, well, we've been a part of this league for a long time and never gotten some of the benefits and things that you are experiencing.
And she walked right into it.
And that she walked right into. Nobody is saying she isn't creating new energy, passion, support for the league, ticket sales, viewership. Like, that's clear. You can't argue the numbers even in terms of her stats.
And the league was watching opponents take run after run at its biggest meal ticket and saying nothing. You don't have to love her game to see how crazy that is. But somebody finally did say something, and it wasn't who anyone expected. Derek Fisher isn't a hot take guy. 5 NBA titles, years spent coaching in this exact league. So when he talked, the room went quiet, and he didn't tiptoe. Fisher said the hate aimed at Clark has almost nothing to do with Clark. His words, it's almost like people are trying to find reasons to dislike her, when in reality, she's literally never said any of the stuff that other people have to say.
Now, the thing when he said that is, all of the things he listed is why the WNBA should have treated her a certain way, that they have failed and dropped the ball, and everybody's been calling them out, letting it be known the WNBA fumbled Caitlin Clark. When they watched her be the most flagrantly fouled player, they did nothing. When they watched her get targeted, they did nothing. They have done everything they can to actually minimize her. So the things that he's listing are just a few of the reasons why they should have gotten behind her and provided a push that they have failed to do. She's dealing with all the hate and negativity, and the league hasn't even gotten behind her.
Sit with that for a second. A 5-time champion just told the basketball world that Caitlin Clark is being punished for things she never did. Not her words, not her attitude, just the attention she drags into every building, the cameras, the money, the resentment that follows the one player carrying a whole league on national TV. Fisher said the quiet part out loud, and he basically dared anyone inside the WNBA to call him a liar. Nobody did. So how did Clark answer all of it? The fouls, the bench, the slump, the whispers. Monday night, 4.3 seconds on the clock, tie game. Clark caught it, rose up from 31 feet, way behind the line, and drilled it. Dagger. Fever win, 78-76. No speech, no clapback. just the loudest answer in sports, a bucket that went straight through the net. Derek Fisher says the league has been letting this happen to her. Caitlin Clark just reminded everyone exactly why they can't afford to keep doing it. So here's what I want to know. Is she really being targeted, or is this just the price of being the biggest star the game has ever seen? Tell me below. I'm reading every single one.
So, yeah, if you guys didn't know, Caitlin Clark was sick in this game. Caitlin Clark was sick. So we're going to be reacting to a little bit of James Boyd's interview with Caitlin Clark right here. And she came out, I thought she had a really good second half. Like she had 10 points, 3 assists, and it was timely. There was she had some timely scores in that second half.
Caitlin Clark threw up at halftime. Not nerves, not a cramp. She tried to eat a little applesauce. It came right back up. And then, in her own words, everything else in her stomach came up with it.
Can you take us through what happened at halftime?
Yeah, I mean, a little sick, but I don't know. I tried to eat some applesauce and then it just came up, and then everything else in my stomach also came up. So I thought I was gonna stay down, and then I found a trash can, thank God, and I haven't puked that much in a really long time. So, but then I felt fine. I felt light, so I was running around feeling good in the second half, but I feel okay. Obviously, I'm losing my voice a little bit, but I'll be good.
Most players take the rest of that night off. Clark found a trash can, pulled herself together, and walked back out against the second best team in the league. Then she went and buried Angel Reese all over again. So before you read one more headline about Caitlin Clark falling apart, watch what she did while she was literally sick. Let's back up because the story was already written before the ball went up. The Fever had just lost 2 in a row, first to the Golden State Valkyries, then a 20-point beatdown from the Portland Fire. And after that Portland loss, a sideline moment between Clark and Coach Stephanie White got clipped and shared about 10,000 times. Suddenly, every outlet had the exact same take: a rift, a locker room problem, a team playing slow, boring basketball, and bleeding viewers. Indiana walked into June 4th at 4-4, buried under a week of bad press, with everybody waiting for the collapse.
And greetings from Cambridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indy, where tonight the Fever begin their Commissioner's Cup title defense as they host the Atlanta Dream.
And Clark's answer to all of it was almost boring. She said she was not reading any of it. She called the scrutiny exactly what it was: noise.
Caitlin, you're used to being the eye of the storm and a lot of external noise and whatnot. How is this week? How are you feeling about this week? It seems kind of
Yeah,
loud
I've got that question from a lot of people. A lot of people have called me and asked how I am, and I said, "What do you mean? I'm great." I think a lot of self-reflection for everybody. Like, you look yourself in the mirror and you find ways to get better. That's certainly what I did.
She said she spent the week playing Catan, playing Scrabble, going to dinner with friends, and watching Game 1 of the finals.
And I know me and Kareem were having this conversation yesterday. Usually you're playing and you have day off and you're playing, and I think obviously losing by 20 and, having 5 days for everybody to talk about the way we played maybe wasn't to the best for us. But, I think one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten in life is, everything's a two-day story. People are just going to be on to the next, whether you play good, whether you play bad. And, say we come out here and play great tonight. Well, we can't get too high. We have New York on Saturday or whatever day that is. I don't really have the days of the week correct. So I think for us, it's, take a day at a time. But personally, I'm doing great. I don't really read that stuff. Like, I know everybody can have an opinion, and people make me aware. I have to be aware of things that are going on, but I'm not sitting on Twitter or social media reading those things. And, obviously everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I think the opinions I care about are, my teammates, the people in the locker room, the front office, this organization, my family, my friends. We have a tight-knit circle, but I'm doing great. Like, I played a lot of Catan this week, played a lot of Scrabble, hung out with some friends last night, went to dinner, and watched game 1 of the finals, which was pretty fun, and then watched a lot of film. But doing well, and more than anything, excited to get back out there and play. I know this group has really been itching, and we had some good days of practice, but we're ready to just go out there and play again.
While the internet wrote her obituary, she watched film and waited. Then June 4th handed her a stage. Here's the part the rivalry crowd does not want to hear. Angel Reese finished with 11 points and 10 rebounds. Scroll past it fast, and that looks like a clean double-double. Sit with it for 1 second, and it falls apart. 4 of 9 shooting. A game high, 4 turnovers, more than anybody on either team. And those 11 points came on the same night Atlanta's entire offense cratered to a season low.
Today, Angel Reese chokes, shrinks, crumbles under the spotlight against the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark, in her professional career, has now lost 1 time against Angel Reese. In fact, ever since Angel Reese followed Caitlin Clark around in that national championship game, doing the John Cena "You Can See Me," Angel Reese has only beaten Caitlin Clark 1 time since that moment. It's no doubt, folks, the biggest game on everybody's calendar is going up against the Indiana Fever and playing against Caitlin Clark.
Reese did not anchor anything. She went down with the ship. Off the bench, Natasha Hines-Allen physically bullied her in just 16 minutes, grabbing 7 rebounds and making her life miserable every time they shared the floor. A double-double in a season-low blowout, where you also turn it over more than anyone on the court, is not a good night. It is a stat line that reads okay on paper and dies the second you watch the tape.
But a certain somebody in the WNBA, not only is it their it's the Super Bowl, it's the ball drop on New Year's Eve, it's, you name it, circled, that's the game. Or at least that's been the game. That's the game I'm gonna have a Barbie night. That's the game I'm gonna make up some fake monkey noises. I'm gonna do my best to try to chase clout from that game the best that I can. But Angel Reese wanted no part of that last night. Oof. But she chased something else. Shout out to the Pope. She chased some bloopies. Oof. Angel Reese, rough game last night for Angel Reese.
Clark is now 5-1 against Reese. That is not a rivalry. That is a pattern. Now look at what Clark did while sick. 17 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, a near triple-double. And her shooting was actually cold. 6 of 17 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3. So why did Clark call this one of the best floor games she has played in a really long time? Because she stopped forcing and started conducting. She read the defense. She picked her moments. She guarded Ryan Howard one-on-one and put real pressure on the ball after a week of people questioning her defense.
One of the biggest rivalry, the biggest matchup that the WNBA can offer, the Indiana Fever versus the Atlanta Dream. And Angel Reese was a no-call, no-show. A no-call, no-show. It wasn't just her. Ryan Howard, no-call, no-show. Alicia Gray, no-call, no-show. Jordan Canada, no-call. But nobody cares about those other players, right? Nobody cares about those other 3.
She sat down with Coach Breanne January, watched clips, then went out and helped hold Atlanta to a season low. Other guards disappear when the shot is not falling. Clark posted a near triple-double while emptying her stomach at halftime. And this is where the obituary writers missed the real point. Indiana did not need Clark to score 40. Kelsey Mitchell went off for 25 on 11 of 15 shooting, crossed 5,000 career points, and ripped off a personal 11-0 run in the third quarter that flipped a 1-point game into a blowout. Aaliyah Boston added 19 points and hit 3 of 4 from deep, stretching Atlanta until it snapped. Mitchell and Boston combined for 44 on a night Clark struggled to shoot, and the Fever still won going away. Atlanta tried to take Clark's scoring out of the game. Boston and Mitchell made them pay for it anyway. And remember that supposed rift with Stephanie White. In the third quarter, the two of them chest bumped. Clark laughed about it after, joked that White has had a lot of surgery so she could have hurt her, and said she loves playing for a coach that fired up. So much for the fracture. Here is the bottom line. June 4th opened the Commissioner Cup, the same trophy Indiana won last season. The Fever were 4-4 on a losing streak, getting written off with a starting point guard throwing up at halftime. They walked out at 5-4, having held the second-best team in the league to a season low. That is not luck. That is a team that found out exactly who it is the moment things got ugly. Clark wants the MVP. The Fever want the title. And right now, the only people still calling this a rivalry are the ones who did not watch the game. So I want to hear it. Are you Team Clark or Team Reese? Drop it below.